It's time to wake up, people! This one goes out to teachers and students.
An inclusive imperialistic view of society encompasses all students as lying within a spectrum of common and individual needs should be met in a regular education provision through a differentiated curriculum. The notion of change and mainstreaming students with disabilities into local schools has become proficient norm. Parents have chosen to send their children to mainstream schools rather than segregated schools. This meaning that teachers' philosophies should be forever changing and encompass the unwavering principle of transformability. We as teachers must change the way we teach to suit every individual within our class. Caroline Tomlinson reiterates that responding to each child as an individual is fundamental to developing appropriate practice. For my artifact, I have chosen to write and illustrate a book called The Story of Billy. This is a picture book aimed at achieving a sense of community within the class and creating a sense of respect and belonging within the classroom and throughout the school. Diversity can be seen as a complex topic to grasp, which is why I've created this book to cater for all learners to read an example in a fun way. It is aimed at Prep to Year 3. There are a few elements I took from Tomlinson's belief that I wanted to highlight within my book. These are supporting and respecting one another. This can be seen in my book where Jock and Jess approach Billy and ask him if they would like to play with him using a diverse method of communicating with writing, as he is deaf. This illustrates to students that taking action, including Billy, is a must-do behaviour, as he is no different to them. The teacher reinforces that everyone is unique and everyone is different and we are all just human beings. This fosters the Disability Act and the Rights of the Child policy that all students have the right to an equal education. The end of the book illustrates a sense of community as everyone is being treated fairly and equally. It shows a sense of community that Tomlinson fosters. Other approaches that I encapsulated was Alton Lee's quality teaching for diverse students, which is shown through the child-centered practice of Billy and his journey, and also caring classroom environments, which is Mrs. Tuck introduced and reinforced to students in the middle of the book, and also classroom relationships through the newfound friendships that Billy has created, even though he has a learning difficulty of being deaf. Lee explains how inclusive education makes sure that students, teachers and caregivers are placed in a supportive and respectful and engaging environment. This is clearly demonstrated throughout the end of my book. Slee was incorporated through Jocko and Jess taking action on the situation and taking their own initiative to make Billy feel included. Other opinions in which I embedded my book within was Berry and W. View, who suggest that students and teachers who hold a favourable attitudes towards inclusion are more bound to have great concerns in regards to balancing the needs of all students and the potential negative impact of including students with the disabilities of other students. This is why it's so important to find that balance between helping students with disabilities and having a positive attitude towards inclusion, just like Mrs. Tuck did in her class. It shows the transformability approach from Hart and McIntyre, where it demonstrates the effective purpose of feeling safe towards the end of the book. The social purpose of this book is to get students aware that they can help in the inclusivity and respect of one another. They can be the advocates, it doesn't always have to be the teacher. The story of Billy has an intellectual purpose, as it is easy to make real-life connections with the book and the plot of the story. It gets students thinking to why didn't Johnny and Jimmy go to Billy instead of yelling at him at the beginning of the book? Why didn't they just immediately undermine him? My artifact doesn't only expose students to examples of inclusivity, but enables them to relate to real-life experiences they can draw on between them. As Stanford University suggests that students are more receptive to the emotions of others. The story of Billy fosters inclusivity and transformability and allowing students to use this artifact as an anchor that can be used for teaching diversity or used in the English strand. You can use higher order thinking through inquiry-based teaching of predicting and making your own assumptions in different parts of the book. Relevant policies behind the growing commitment to diversity and inclusivity include the Disability Standards of Education, Melbourne Declaration, and professional standards, which I have encountered when creating this book. I have based my book around equity and education excellence, which I adhere especially to the policies. One framework that I believe is vital to education itself and this book is Belonging, Being, and Becoming framework, which states when children have a positive experience, they develop an understanding of themselves as significant and respected human beings and feel a sense of belonging. It is so important that students feel belonging within their classroom. Therefore, by using this artifact within my classroom, not only adheres to the Melbourne Declaration, Disability Standards Act, Professional Standard 4, but strongly is guided through the transformability model, which as it provides with students with effective purpose, social purpose of making friends, intellectual purpose of drawing on past experiences and making connections, and the key pedagogical principles through co-agency, trust, and everyone being included. By using this artifact, that is a valuable resource to promoting inclusivity and diversity within my class by focusing on the supportive environment and respect and sense of community within the school.